Welcome back to Civil Disobedience TV with your host, me, George Donnelly. This will be our last interview of the day and perhaps even our best. We've had some great ones today. And my final guest is Jerome V. Hello, Jerome. How you doing?
I'm doing good, George. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's a real pleasure to have you on, Jerome.
Thank you. Likewise.
So tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a photographer here in Washington, D.C., and I do photography. And I'm a college student. Currently, I'm an intern for a news agency in the Washington area.
Hmm. Excellent. So, what unjust law or illegitimate authority have you disobeyed?
I've disobeyed a couple, but most notably is in the D.C. area, photography is a big thing, and police officers and security guards think that they have the right to stop people from taking pictures of buildings or different monuments, and I've disobeyed those uh, laws that they say are in place.
Excellent. Yeah, I saw one video of you and a friend, some guys. I don't know who were they. U.S. Postal Service, the guys with the machine gun.
So we were in Arlington, Virginia, and those were actually Defense Intelligence Agency police officers. And a
Ooh.
buddy of mine told me that they walk around the public streets with MP5s and M4 sub-automatic machine guns. And I thought he was exaggerating, and I'm like, no, that doesn't happen. And he's like, yeah, yeah, it does. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go over there. And sure and behold, they were walking around with MP5 submachine guns.
Wow.
And I wanted to take pictures of that, and I took pictures, and they were in an uproar. They went absolutely nuts.
I saw that. I was a little worried for you watching the beginning of the video. I wasn't sure how it was gonna turn out.
Yeah, looking back on the video, it's like, I'm sort of, on edge while I'm looking at the video as well. I didn't know that it was really that intense, in the heat of the moment.
Mm. So how did you feel when that one of them was more vocal. He wasn't the one with the MP5, if I remember correctly, and he kind of followed you, came after you. How did you feel?
Well, I wasn't scared, or I wasn't afraid or anything. I let him know, you can't impede on my right to take photographs here on a public sidewalk. He was really trying to be intimidating, and well, it really didn't work with me. And my buddy Jeff, who took the video, he was really scared. He's really I guess you could say he's a photographer. He stands up for photography rights, but he does not like to really talk and interact with law enforcement. So he was very, very, very scared. But I've this is not my first time doing something like this, so I know how to get around things, and I know what to say, and I let these officers know that this isn't something that you can do, and they actually ended up following us for about 30 minutes, and since we didn't do anything wrong, they actually called the police on us, the county police, because they couldn't do anything.
Excellent. So, when you were trying to decide whether to go out and take pictures of these guys, did you struggle with that decision, or did you find it a pretty easy one to take?
Super easy. I did not struggle with the decision at all. I knew that there was probably something gonna happen or something said because, no one nowadays, everyone's talking about September 11th, and, that could be legitimate. And I've said it over and over. I don't have a problem with people inquiring, but the key word and the responsible word here is to inquire about photography, not ask for my ID, not ask to see my pictures, not telling me to stop taking pictures. So I knew that something would probably happen. So I was ready, and I didn't struggle with the decision at all. I was ready. I knew that, once he said that, I wanted to go actually to see, what was going on there. And quite frankly, it's disturbing that we have, you know, police, walk around, with MP5s and M4 submachine guns on a public sidewalk, scaring the heck out of people.
Yeah, that does seem a little bit over the top. So how do you feel about laws in general? Are you against all laws, or how do you decide which ones to obey and which ones to disobey?
Hmm. That's a toughie. That's a tough question. How do I decide which laws to obey and which laws not to? Um, I try to, uh, for the most part, obey laws. I want to be as close to a law-abiding citizen as possible. But I'm fall more on the, if there is not a victim, there's not a crime.
Nicely
So,
said.
if it's a victimless crime, I'm probably more amped to not follow the directives.
Nicely said. Have any of your friends or family seen the video, and what did they have to say about it?
A lot of my friends have seen the video, and they just think it's absolutely hilarious, because you have a citizen who's telling the cops, essentially bug off, and he's doing it in not a disrespectful manner, but in an authoritative, and he's got his foot down, and he's not relenting to the police officers. And my family is just outright scared. They're just outright scared. They think that one day, and it's a legitimate fear because
Definitely.
police in this society, they do and they say things that didn't happen. So it's definitely a legitimate fear that they have. And it's somewhat of a fear that I have because I know that police do lie. I know that police have been known to plant evidence. So evidence that's not uh, you know, that the person might not have had. So, a judge is more likely to believe a police officer because of their sworn capacity and authority than a regular citizen. So, I try to be very careful. I try to articulate as well as possible to let them know, hey, I'm not the guy to fool around with, and I'm here to mean I mean business. So yeah.
Yeah, it's right. It is dangerous, and they do it all the time, and from all levels of cops, from your regular Chicago cop on the beat all the way up to U.S. Marshals. So yeah, that's definitely a very valid concern. Are you worried about discussing this in public?
About
Just
discussing.
your disobedience.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Excellent. And what would you say? Some people out there say, "Well, it's the law, and these guys have their badges for a reason, and they're in charge."
That's what I would say.
And that's the best answer I've heard yet, Jerome.
That's exactly what I would say. Police or people think that because police have, a job as a law enforcement officer, that what they say goes, and that they have all knowledge of the law, and that you think that by the way people and citizens talk about the police, you think that the police are just police officers that went to law school, which we know that's not the case. Maybe on a federal capacity, where you have some FBI federal agents who have been to law school and have gone that route and entered the FBI, but I personally don't know any police officers, and I don't know the statistics, but I'm pretty sure they're quite low on the police officers who've been to law school. Police know what the academy teaches them, and basically that's probably the Fourth Amendment, the First Amendment. Depending on where you are, the 14th Amendment is in regards to immigration. They don't know the full spectrum of the law. You can't take into account, and police are human. They make mistakes just like we do. They lie just like we do. They don't want to get in trouble. They're in fear of losing their jobs as well. So, just because he holds a title as police, doesn't mean that he knows everything about the law. Just like a doctor, he holds the title of MD or DO or whatever the case may be, or PhD, but that doesn't mean he knows all the spectrum of medicine. If you have an emergency medicine physician, that doesn't necessarily means that, and actually he probably doesn't know the full capacity of a neurologist or an orthopedic surgeon, or an anesthesiologist. So it's just a title that is given because this person has certain authorities that we don't, but we grant them authorities. They don't have rights in uniform. They have the authority to do certain things that the government specifies, but they're human just like us.
Absolutely. Very nicely said, Jerome. Jerome, I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us. It has been a real pleasure speaking with you. Do you have any projects you'd like to tell our audience about?
We Won't Fly. That's something that I've been, looking heavily into, and actually, I won't be flying. The new TSA regulations are just absolutely absurd, and they just don't work. I For the first time met James Babb in Washington D.C. for an EPIC conference a couple of weeks ago, and he passed me on information about you, George. So I'm very glad that we were able to connect. So we won't fly.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm really glad we're connected now. And thanks again, and I wish you a great evening and a great week, Jerome.
Absolutely. And thank you, George.
Okay, have a great one.
Likewise. Thank you.
Bye-bye.